I just think it's funny that the top G is a fanboy, and he runs with this whole thing like, "What color is your Bugatti?"
Jake Paul has responded to Andrew Tate's recent call-out, and unsurprisingly, it's exactly what you'd expect. Another ego-fueled monologue from the self-proclaimed king of trash talk. Classic Jake, loud, overconfident, and completely detached from reality. The man who cherry-picks opponents like he's shopping for discounted victories is now acting like he can take down Andrew Tate, a four-time kickboxing world champion with an actual fight record. Let's not forget Jake's
did endless videos supporting me, laughing about me, saying how funny I was. I'll fight him for free.
Infamous track record of overhyped fights, many of which ended in mediocrity or outright embarrassment. And who could ignore his cringe-worthy scripted face-off with Mike Tyson, which somehow still made headlines? Jake Paul, more consistent in dodging real challenges than landing punches, is now stepping up to Andrew Tate, not with skill, but with his signature loudmouth bravado. It's trash talk versus talent, and Jake is clearly in over his head. Just hearing Jake Paul's name sends a shiver down the spine.
I'm sure he's ready to back up.
I don't think he ever gets into the ring and risks his alpha male appearance to fight me or Logan. Andrew Tate, you're scared to get in the ring with one of us.
Of anyone who values integrity in sports, or sanity for that matter. This self-proclaimed problem child has somehow convinced a portion of the internet that his glorified TikTok-level boxing career makes him a legitimate athlete. Now he's crossed paths with Andrew Tate, the internet's cocktail of cigars, Bugattis, and outdated alpha male sermons. It's a collision of two egos so inflated they could form their own heavyweight division. Andrew Tate, a man with 4 legitimate kickboxing world titles and 76 career wins, recently called out Jake Paul for a fight. And why wouldn't he? Jake's entire boxing career feels like...
But what I'm saying is that Andrew, if my brother doesn't fuck you up, I will. And it has to go down.
A bad reality TV show, where retired MMA fighters and washed-up athletes line up to lose for a paycheck. But here's the twist. Tate isn't just another name. He's got actual combat credentials, not whatever discount victory parade Jake's been hosting. Tate didn't just call Jake out, he went straight for the jugular. He questioned Jake's courage and mocked his thinly veiled attempts at staying relevant. Coming from a guy who built his empire preaching the gospel of Bugattis and Hustler University, that's saying a lot. Jake's response? Predictably over the top. He runs to his podcast BS with Jake Paul, which, let's be honest, is the most accurate title he's ever come up with. The episode is filled with chest-puffing bravado, with Jake declaring, "Andrew Tate, you're scared to get into the ring with one of us." The irony here is almost poetic. Jake Paul calling anyone scared is pure comedy gold. This is the same guy who spent more time dodging Tommy Fury than training for a legitimate fight. He's the human embodiment of the pot calling the kettle black, if the pot was also trying to sell you overpriced merch while yelling into a mic. End quote. 2 oversized egos are now in play, and they probably need their own zip codes. Let's dissect this mess, shall we? Then there's Jake's theory about why Andrew Tate won't fight him.
But what I'm saying is that Andrew, if my brother doesn't fuck you up, I will. And it has to go down.
To Jake, Tate is afraid of damaging his alpha male image. Really? That's rich coming from a guy whose entire career revolves around hand-picking opponents who either have no business in a boxing ring or are far past their prime. Jake's idea of bravery is throwing punches at fighters who should be enjoying retirement, not pretending he's the future of boxing. To his credit, barely. Jake did manage to sound reasonable for a fleeting moment. Between bouts of self-congratulation and macho posturing, he agreed that Andrew Tate shouldn't be banned from social media. "Free speech is important," Jake said, which is a noble sentiment until you remember who it's coming from. This is the same guy who uses his platform to hurl insults at anyone questioning his self-proclaimed greatness. Jake Paul talking about free speech is like a used car salesman preaching honesty. It's hard to take seriously when manipulation is the cornerstone of their persona. Meanwhile, Jake's got plenty of drama already brewing. There's KSI.
If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living fuck out of a fucking goofy, fucking entitled dickhead like you.
with whom Jake's been feuding since forever, but still hasn't fought. And then there's Tommy Fury, whose fight with Jake has been endlessly teased and postponed. Jake's juggling a circus, and adding Tate to the mix feels more like a distraction than a challenge. The saga of Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury has been cancelled so many times it's starting to feel like a poorly scripted drama. Visa issues, scheduling conflicts, and Jake's uncanny ability to turn every situation into a melodrama, pick your excuse. At this point, Jake dodging real opponents is less of a rumor and more of a recurring theme. Speaking of Brits, I had a call with Tommy Fury. They're saying we're going to fight in February. Jake told his co-host, "I think he actually can't leave. He can't come into the United States, so if I fight him, it's in the UK. His co-host pointed out that Tommy had withdrawn from previous appearances at the last minute and wondered if history would repeat itself. "I think parts of it are shady," Jake admitted. "I don't think we're getting the full truth, but regardless, it's a great matchup and I really want to knock him out." Now, enter Andrew Tate, who offers Jake a golden opportunity to prove he can actually hang with a legitimate fighter. Tate's credentials speak for themselves. Four-time kickboxing world champion with an impressive record. So what does Jake do? He postures, talks big, and stirs the pot. But will he actually step into the ring? Let's be real, probably not. Jake's career is built on theatrics, not challenges. He doesn't want to fight Tate, he wants to milk the drama for clicks, views, and a fresh wave of gullible fans who mistake trash talk for talent. Jake Paul wanting to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez is like a toddler challenging Usain Bolt
My dick in my pants. Ay, my bitch don't love me no more. Ay, she kick me out on life, bro.
to a sprint. Embarrassing, delusional, and undeniably hilarious. This is the same Jake Paul who beat Anderson Silva in October 2022, a 47-year-old MMA legend far past his prime. Yet, in Jake's mind, this one victory has somehow transformed him into a legitimate contender worthy of stepping into the ring with one of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers in history. Jake doesn't just want to prove himself. He wants to rewrite reality, conveniently ignoring the fact that his so-called knockout record is about as credible as a staged prank video. But his antics don't stop there. Jake's big mouth has landed him in even hotter water, this time with Eddie Hearn, the heavyweight boxing promoter who's had enough of his nonsense. Jake accused Matchroom Boxing, Pride and Joy, of paying off judges for favorable scorecards. Yep. Jake has decided he's the whistleblower boxing never needed. The result? A $100 million lawsuit. That's right, Jake's loose lips might cost him more than all his social media clout combined. But does Jake backtrack or stay quiet? Of course not. Instead, he promises to debunk the lawsuit allegations in episode 8 of his podcast. Because clearly, the guy who built his career on viral pranks and stage drama is the authority we need to settle legal disputes in the world of professional boxing. Classic Jake. Jake Paul is of course the perfect person to unravel corruption in professional boxing. Sure, Jake, we'll just wait for that groundbreaking exposé. But the drama doesn't stop there. Jake's feud with Tommy Fury has been dragging on for what feels like decades. These two were set to fight at the end of 2021, then again in 2022, but Tommy always seemed to have a magical excuse: visa issues, injuries, or maybe just the gut feeling that losing to Jake would be career suicide. Meanwhile, Jake took every chance to trash Tommy on social media, labeling him a coward and boldly declaring he's ready to fight him in the UK in 2023. But let's not overlook Jake's stellar history of following through on fights. If this match happens, a big if, it'll likely be another overhyped spectacle, leaving fans questioning why they bothered tuning in. And then there's the wild card, Andrew Tate. A Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate matchup has all the chaotic potential to actually be interesting. Tate, with his 76 professional kickboxing wins, brings real combat experience, something Jake's reality show-level opponents have sorely lacked. Tate might be polarizing, but he knows how to fight. Jake, on the other hand, is the poster boy for delusions of grandeur. Watching him step into the ring with Tate would be like watching a YouTube prankster challenge a Navy SEAL to a push-up contest. Painful, yet impossible to look away from. Classic Jake.